Good afternoon, I'm Henry Keane and this is UATV English and Wrap-Up Analytics. We analyze the facts in order to get to the cause. Welcome to Wrap-Up Analytics. Fear. That in one word is the atmosphere of what Putin calls a military parade, a masked show that he throws in the middle of the instigated war. A feast in a time of plague, right as per Russian poet Alexander Pushkin. The parade takes place in Moscow on the so-called Victory Day today. To be fair, the reasons for the Kremlin's rulers' fears are grounded. Ukrainian drones, hundreds of them that have been swarming Moscow and the region for several days by now. Suffocating the air logistics, burning military depots, by the way, shattering the image of the almighty invincible Russian Tsar. Ukrainian drones are quite persuasive. They persuaded a number of politicians and Russian dictators' friends to abruptly change their previously loudly announced plans to participate in the parade. Almost 30 of them were supposed to come, but drones happened, As soon as it became known and shown that Ukraine does not guarantee any safety in Moscow to those who join Putin, they seem to get the message. Exemplary behavior of a coward and a liar shown by a coward and a liar. Viktor Orban, one of the Kremlin's main European allies who planned to come over to Moscow, but he didn't. Instead, his friend by Putin's fan club, Robert Fico, arrived. The man endangers Serbia's EU integration, indeed, with such an act, but why should Fico care about Serbia anyway? He obviously shouldn't, as he obviously doesn't. Also, India and Pakistan did not come for obvious reasons. The war between the two countries is raging on. So let us try to understand why it is so important for Putin to have this parade in general and to involve as many people as possible in this absurd. UATV English talks to British writer, journalist and security specialist, Sir Edward Lucas. Mr. Lucas, hello. Thank you for joining.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Right. First things first. So Victory Parade and that 3 days truce, whatever that means. Respite, obviously, it is for Russia, but now with over 500 plus Ukrainian drones, the Russian transportation system is simply choking and no cellular connection in Moscow. And Ukrainian drones flying all over the place. I mean, do you believe people in the collective West, let's put it that way, understand why Ukraine is doing what it is doing and why it does not agree to Putin's 3 days truce?
Well, first of all, I caution you against using the term the collective West. I don't know what that really means now. We have countries like Poland and the Baltic states and Finland who absolutely get it. You have countries in Western Europe who are beginning to get it. You have the United States, which used to get it but doesn't seem to get it anymore. But I think that what's clear is that Ukraine has shown that it can strike deep into Russia. It can do kinetic damage. You can kill people, war criminals, meet their maker. You can disrupt infrastructure. You can hit the war machine. And this proves several things. It proves that Putin's claim that Ukraine is collapsing and losing is wrong. It shows that the 3-day war is anything but. And it shows that the idea that you can just, from the Russian point of view, just a few more days and we've won is complete nonsense. And so these are all important things to show. And of course, perhaps most important of all, it shows the Western allies that Ukraine is fighting and winning.
Guests, Putin's guests. Let's put it that way. What Orban promised to go, but he didn't. But his Red Square Club mate Robert Fico did. And now, because of that stance, because of his actions, Serbia's European membership could be at stake. Under the risk, I mean, or not? Or am I just, speculating?
I'm afraid that Serbia's chances of joining the European Union soon are fairly slim. And there's a kind of block developing of countries where Russia and China have a lot of interest, from Slovakia through Hungary, also including Austria, going down to Serbia and Bosnia. And this is becoming a bit of a black hole in Europe, at least in geopolitical terms. We don't have great intelligence cooperation with these countries. They're looking at infrastructure differently, with Hungary building its railway to Belgrade with Chinese backing. And this is a difficulty. And of course, for the countries that are in the European Union, they can really make serious problems by vetoing decisions that need unanimity. So we're seeing the consequences of many years of tolerating people like Viktor Orban are now coming back to bite us. But I wouldn't ascribe huge significance to their attendance at one particular parade. This is a long-term problem, and it's going to require a long-term solution.
Absolutely. But, all right, let us imagine for a moment that a British writer, journalist, and security specialist, Mr. Edward Lucas, becomes president of Ukraine. President Lucas, witnessing the unspeakable suffering of your nation for 3 years in a row, I mean, Bucha, Sumy, you name it. And now, Mr. President, you can retaliate and send long-range drones to Red Square on 9th of May. Would you do that, President Lucas?
Well, first of all, I think that obviously the president of Ukraine should be Ukrainian. But if I was advising a president of Ukraine, I think that Russian air defences will be very heavily concentrated around Moscow. And so this might be a good chance to do some very serious, not just symbolic damage, but actual damage to important parts of Putin's war machine elsewhere in Russia. I can see that there's a symbolic gain of, I mean, if you can get one air raid siren going off in the distance, that's already important, but you might be able to hit, I don't know, an oil refinery outside Moscow, and the smoke rising on the distant horizon would also be quite important. I think it's probably not a good idea to risk killing Xi Jinping. I think that the Chinese are important in the sort of geopolitical future for Ukraine and for Europe, and one shouldn't sort of put him at risk. So I think a direct drone strike on Red Square on the parade probably not a good idea. But in the end, these are decisions for Ukraine to make. I'm very cautious about outsiders who've given you very bad advice in the past, and I don't want to add to it. In the end, Ukraine has to make its own decisions about its security and pursue what you think is best.
Well, I was only, imagining the unimaginable and only speculating, that's all. But more questions. I mean, I can't avoid that question, unfortunately. A Briton, Chris Garrett, call sign Swampy, recently was killed in Ukraine. He was an outstanding bomb specialist and an outstanding person, that I can confirm. And he was not the only one. It is clear, to me at least, and to all of us, I know, in Ukraine, that the United Kingdom always was and remains one of the most ardent anti-Russian and pro-Ukrainian powers in the world. Not only in terms of authorities, but also amongst the people. It obviously is a, naturally national thing for the overwhelming majority of English people to stand for Ukraine. Why is that, do you think?
I think that there's a very strong British sympathy for the underdog. We don't like bullies, and Putin is the sort of perhaps the sort of great example of a bully, and Ukraine is not his first victim. We remember the war in Georgia, the Bronze Soldier events in Estonia, and the wars in Chechnya, indeed, before that. So I think that Britain has a very strong sense of fair play, and we don't like to see the strong abusing the weak. I'm delighted that we are so popular in Ukraine, and I pay tribute particularly to Boris Johnson, my friend but political rival, for the efforts that his government made. But I still think there's an awful lot more we could do. I've been trying to get this government to seize the 27 billion in Russian central bank assets held in sterling in accounts in Britain. I've worked with great Ukrainian colleagues to introduce new amendments to legislation that was going through our parliament to give the government the chance to do this, and the government blocked it. So I think we talk a good game. We've certainly sent some good military advisors. We've trained a lot of Ukrainian soldiers. We've sent quite a lot of equipment. But we're still in our comfort zone, I'm afraid. I want us to go. I think we should do the things that we must do, not just the things that we feel we can do.
Mr. Lucas, thank you so very much for what you do for Ukraine and for your stance, for that emotion that you share, and for your expertise. I hope to do a longer interview with you when we can. I know your schedule is really tight, so I have to let you go for now. Thank you so very much, and hope to talk to you soon.
Well, thank you, and thank all Ukrainians, because you are not only fighting for your freedom and security, you're fighting for ours as well.
Vladimir Putin announced another ceasefire specifically for his parade. Apparently, he hopes that Ukraine will allow him to hold such an important event for him in calm and peaceful manner to get his kicks and then comfortably return to killing Ukrainians and their children right on the streets of Ukraine. Well, as well as his troops are marching in the Red Square, in a parade, Russians also regroup their forces on the front line. We asked a former Lieutenant Colonel in the British Army, Glen Grant, to join us for some thoughts on the matter. Mr. Grant?
Yeah, well, Slava Ukraine.
Heroyam Slava.
That's my first one.
Yeah, I mean, but
Yeah.
where do we start?
Thoughts?
3-day truce. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I mean, there's just so much. There's so much happening at the moment that it's mind blowing. And you're right. Where do we start? Well, I mean, let's kill the Putin bit. I mean, first of all, there's never been a proper ceasefire with Putin ever. So anybody who ever thinks that Putin is going to have a ceasefire where you benefit is living in a fool's world. So that's the first thing. And I think for his parade, I mean, I think there was no way that we could actually attack the parade.
No.
Not with the Chinese president there. But what we could have done is put all the airports out again, or attack Putin's palaces while he's not there, just to remind him that we know where they are, and you know. A decent hole through the middle of each of his palaces would give him something to think about. That's one thing. But yeah, it's a strange time at the moment, because you can see that the people that are supporting Putin are now very clear.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter what anybody says. The other side of this war is now totally clear. I mean, the fact that the president of China went to Putin's parade takes away any doubt, any shred of doubt that China is supporting Russia against the West, and therefore is against the West. So if anybody thinks otherwise, some nice thoughts about China, they better lose them quickly.
Well, I mean, obviously people think the other way. I don't know. It's shall we put it that way? They say a 3-day truce. To me, it's absurdity at its best or worst. But we hear voices saying it is Zelensky who doesn't want peace with Putin. Putin offers one. Here you go. I mean, 3 days of truce. What would you comment on that? What shall I answer them? Shall I even talk with them? I don't know. But if I decide
well, I mean, I mean, people who think that Zelensky has got any choice in this matter at all, and has had any choice in this matter at all since the beginning of the invasion are totally stupid. I mean, Zelensky had a choice before the invasion to prepare, which he didn't take. We all know that. If we don't need to write, everybody writes about it. He did not take that choice. But once the invasion started, he's had no choice except to fight back, because Putin's given him no choice. And there will be no proper ceasefire from Putin, because he thinks he's winning, and he thinks he's winning because the president of China has come to his parade, because Fico has come to his parade, because the idiot boss of Serbia has come to his parade. And if these people don't understand what they're doing, what message they're sending to the world, then I'm sorry, but they're stupid as well.
Well, maybe they understand.
But no, you can't blame. You can't blame Zelensky for anything at the moment.
No, absolutely, but maybe we shouldn't be blaming them, because maybe they, understand clearly, absolutely what is going on. Maybe they're just enemies, and that's it.
Yeah, well, that's you can call it that, but enemies have a choice. You saw that in the Second World War,
Much is
a
true.
couple of countries changed sides at convenient times. Enemies do have a choice, and these people have made their choice to be against you and me. Let's be clear about
Yeah.
it. They're lining themselves up to kill us, not just to kill, not just it's not some phantom thing. It's us as people that they're after, and they want us dead. And it's not very pretty.
No, it's not. But do you believe, sir, that Putin's image of an almighty dictator of Mother Russia is somewhat shattered by those 500 plus Ukrainian drones choking the transportation system, burning even military depots and airfields and so on? Or not?
Please.
Or he's okay?
That is a really good question. I mean, I think from the interviews that go on from sort of neutral journalists, then everybody they speak to is supporting Putin, and against Ukraine. Ukraine is the great evil. It's the the Nazis, as they say. But I mean, but Putin has been telling his public this day after day after day after day for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
There is little surprise that most people seem to believe it, because they need to believe in something. Come on, outside of Moscow and St. Petersburg is pretty shitty, but also the Russian, not soul, that's the wrong word, but the Russian sort of belief is that to support Mother Russia is great. Therefore, if something is happening bad to them, they are actually supporting Mother Russia even more. So if their plane's delayed, it's for the cause of Mother Russia. So it has a sort of almost a reverse effect.
Right.
But those oligarchs around Putin who've made their life money are surely some of them seeing it slip away, although there are those who've made more since the war started, because of course they've had all the contracts.
Yeah.
They've had all the contracts.
And they are making more right now as we speak.
There are others. Yeah, there are others who've not had it so good. So there are going to be people out there who don't like the fact that they've had their holiday disrupted by evil Ukrainian rockets. But I'm sorry, but I think there are an awful lot of them are pro-Putin and will stay that way until this war is won one way or another.
But I mean, one way or another. I mean, Russia wants it all, and Baltics, for example, just as well. My native Latvia, where you live now.
Yeah.
Would NATO react accordingly if Russia attacks Latvia and Lithuania and Estonia? Do you believe in this?
Yeah, it's got to. I do believe in it. I think that's you might say that's the final. I just instinct says it's the final straw. Because if those other countries didn't believe in it, there wouldn't be Spaniards and Italians in Latvia. Now, there wouldn't.
Fair enough.
There wouldn't now. In the shopping centre down the road, people from Albania. There wouldn't be Albanians in our shopping centre. Why? And one of them died in training during last year. So they had every excuse for saying it's not safe, things are wrong. They're still here.
Right.
They're still here. So that gives me the sort of the ability to this feeling that it's so. And the fact that if the Americans pull out of Lithuania, the Germans have already said they will replace them with a brigade.
Right.
Now, it's not going to be as strong a brigade as an American brigade, but that is a political signal, a huge political signal, because everybody knows that, they call it the Suwalki Gap, the Suwalki Corridor, or whatever you want to say, this bit in between Belarusia and Kaliningrad, which actually is probably one of the worst pieces of ground you could ever go and fight on. But if Germany is willing to put itself in the middle of that, knowing that it's a key area, then that's huge political signal, a huge political signal. And if Germany does it, France has got to do it.
So
there is no way.
Are we talking now about that coalition of the willing, whatever that means?
I think NATO, because I mean there are several countries
NATO,
that are
right.
not that are. Yeah, NATO. I mean, there are several countries that are in coalition of the willing, not because they're in NATO, but because they believe that the cause is right. But I think that you know, all these countries that I've mentioned. I mean, they've all got staff in NATO headquarters. None of them have pulled them out.
No.
Even the Americans are still there. Even the Americans are still there, despite all the ups and downs and all the whiffly waffly stuff from the American vice president. Their boys in NATO are still there. So I think that until someone actually pulls out or kicks Hungary out for being stupid and spying on Ukraine, until those
by the
things
way.
happen, yeah, I think it's pretty solid.
Well, not only spying for Ukraine, they were spying on Ukraine in favor of Russia, obviously. Not even
Yeah,
in favor of
obviously, yeah.
Hungary, in favor of Russia. Just as simple as that.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, it is.
I would love to discuss returning back to Xi Jinping and just
Yeah.
a quick remark. Today I've spent about 20 minutes speaking with Kurt Volker, ambassador of the United States, ex-ambassador
Yes.
to Ukraine, and he is in Kiev, and I've asked him what is his opinion about what's going on on the Red Square, where Xi Jinping said that the reasons must be eliminated for this war to be stopped, whatever that means. And Mr. Vulka said that it doesn't mean a lot. China is just being opportunistic in terms of Russia, just using very pragmatic things when it can, and they don't care. China does not care about Russia. And even moreover, he said it is way more interested in, say, rebuilding Ukraine. Well, I didn't comment on that, but what would you say?
I would say people's actions tell you more than the words. If someone goes to, they're not stupid. The Chinese are not stupid.
No, they're
They
not.
know what message they're sending doing this, and they also know that that's a message that is going to remove them from rebuilding Ukraine. Actually, well, I'd be very surprised if Zelensky or some former president let them back in now after that, because they are there at a time of death caused by the person that they're talking to and that they're sitting and smiling to and that they've just drunk tea with. I'm sorry, that message for me says we're supporting Russia. And if Kurt thinks the other way, I would like to hear some evidence, physical evidence that shows that this is the case. I mean, a Chinese
That
pragmatism
makes
can only
it
go
two
so
of us, right? Actually, absolutely. No, I agree. I would love it to be that way, but I don't think that Chinese are that stupid. They are not, as we just cleared out. But isn't it strange? What's next? I mean, obviously, Chinese troops can be deployed to where? Ukraine, Russia, to help invade
Yeah.
Ukraine.
Well, we've already seen a few, and okay, the people say they're volunteers.
That's the fact.
Oh,
It's a matter of
yeah, okay, that's a fact. How many Chinese have we got fighting on our side in the forces? I don't think there are any.
No.
Maybe there is one or two, and if there is, I apologise to them for their bravery and honesty. But Chinese on the other side, that I think that's the start. Just the same way with the North Koreans. Although if the North Koreans all keep dying, there is always the chance that they say, "Hey, this is not a very good plan." But they're being paid for what they do. Let's be honest; they're getting oil. That the currency at the moment is this free oil, free whatever else Russia is giving them,
Right.
if you can call it free, in return for your missiles, your ammunition, your rocket launchers, your
Yes.
guns. So we have to wait and see if China starts doing that. Then maybe some other people will wake up. Maybe some of the prime ministers who are just floating at the moment in countries, prime ministers and presidents who are just floating and hoping it all goes away, may actually begin to see that it's not.
Oh my God! Thank you so very much, sir, for this term floating is love. I adore that. Thank you so very much again. Your expertise is amazing, and hope to talk to you soon about things that are going around us. This chaos and mayhem. God bless us all.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
And keep our soldiers alive, please.
Doing all I can in this matter. Trust me.
Okay.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Have a good one.